So picture this. You are sitting in a nice, climate-controlled room, staring at a spreadsheet and sipping a vanilla latte.
Sounds pretty peaceful, honestly.
Right. But if you actually listen to the language used in that room, you would honestly think you were trying to survive a literal war zone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Right.
we talk about, dodging bullets, operating under extreme pressure, taking heavy casualties.
Yeah, exactly. Today, in this deep dive, we are unpacking this hidden, highly visual language of the American workplace.
Because we use these intensely physical, really violent words to describe, well, basically the most sterile administrative tasks imaginable.
It totally reveals this hidden layer of psychological stress, embedded in our daily jobs. So we're looking at 5 specific phrases used in high-stakes corporate projects.
And they actually map out a complete emotional life cycle, taking you all the way from initial empathy right down to ultimate betrayal.
Let's start with how teams handle that initial pressure or, the threat of failure.
Yeah, so imagine a new R&D engineer. They are completely overwhelmed just trying to learn the standard operating procedures, right? The basic daily rules of the lab.
Right, they're drowning in paperwork.
Exactly. And you will often hear a senior manager say something like, well, we need to cut them some slack.
Cut some slack, which is imagery that comes straight out of physical engineering.
Yeah, it really does.
When a literal rope is pulled way too tight under immense stress, the only way to keep that whole system from snapping is to physically release the tension.
You literally give the rope slack.
So by saying that in the office, you're subconsciously acknowledging that the employee is a fragile component in a machine.
Right. You are deliberately reducing the pressure on them before they break.
But, grace only goes so far in the corporate world.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
when a company faces, say, a sudden budget deficit,
Yeah.
and they have to abruptly cancel a massive project, nobody talks about slack then.
No, definitely not. That is when you have to bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet,
Yeah.
which is such a visceral phrase.
It comes straight out of 19th century battlefield medicine, like a soldier actually biting down on a lead bullet to endure surgery without anesthesia.
You just take the agonizing pain because there's literally no other option.
Yeah, you just have to get through it.
And notice how both of those phrases, cutting slack and biting bullets, they translate these abstract corporate problems into highly physical sensations.
Because modern office workers don't face literal physical danger.
Exactly. So we borrow this language from war and heavy industry to kind of, validate the very real psychological weight of our jobs.
Well, once you survive that initial pain of a budget cut, you usually have to master some complicated new reality.
Right. Like, let's say you have to digest all these new material standards for planetary reducers.
Okay, what are planetary reducers?
Well, there are these incredibly complex gear systems used in heavy robotics,
Huh.
really dense stuff.
Okay, got it. So the phrase that always pops up here is needing to wrap your head around the problem.
Yeah, wrap your head around it. You are picturing your mind as a physical entity basically trying to stretch over this massive, unwieldy object.
I've always found that phrase a bit strange, honestly. Like, why don't professionals just say they understand the new gear standards? Doing all these linguistic gymnastics feels unnecessary.
Well, because just saying understand kind of strips away the effort, right? It sounds too easy.
Huh, I guess that's true.
Yeah, wrapping your head around something, it honors the heavy cognitive labor required to achieve mastery. You are wrestling with the information.
And only after you do that exhausting mental work do you earn the right to call the shots.
Exactly, which means you hold the ultimate authority.
Right, you are the R&D director making the final call. The imagery shifts from being the soldier enduring the surgery to being the commander deciding exactly when the firing squad pulls the trigger.
But command gives you control, and it also isolates you.
Oh, totally.
When the pressure peaks, and that director is backed into a corner during, say, a hostile board meeting, that authority can easily curdle into pure self-preservation.
Which leads to the absolute dark side of corporate survival. Throwing someone under the bus.
Ouch. Yeah.
A manager blames a subordinate for their own failure, sacrificing them completely to save their own skin.
It sounds like a mafia movie trope, not HR policy.
You are literally pushing a colleague into oncoming heavy traffic.
It perfectly captures the desperation of cutthroat environments, though. When the momentum of a failing project, the bus is barreling towards you, someone has to take the hit.
The psychological safety of cutting slack is entirely gone.
Completely gone. Replaced by this abrupt, violent shift in loyalty.
So, for you listening, just think about the emotional journey we charted today in our everyday language.
It's quite a ride.
We moved from the empathy of releasing tension to enduring battlefield surgery, wrestling massive concepts, commanding the troops, and finally, pushing your colleague into traffic.
The polished veneer of professional life is actually just teeming with this unwritten, visceral intensity.
It really leaves you with a lingering question. If our daily workplace language relies so heavily on violent metaphors, does using this vocabulary secretly train us to view our daily colleagues as combatants?
That's a scary thought.
So next time you step into a sterile meeting room, ask yourself, are you there to collaborate or are you just stepping onto the battlefield?